What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing today? Monday afternoon. It is Monday here in Sydney, Australia. 12 o'clock, not quite on the dot, just a little bit after noon, or as the Aussies say, midday. We have a lot to talk about. We can talk about the fights that happened just a couple nights ago in Riyadh. We're up. We hit a parlay. We took the two. Told you guys to follow my lead. We took the overs in Nakatani. We took the over in Inoue, and then we took Yabuki on the money line. So we hit a plus 290. So continues our winning streak. We're on fire. The week before, I hit 22 out of my 23 picks. So we're in a good spot. Now we have fights. We have a fight Wednesday night here in Australia. Well, it's not in Australia. That's what time it airs. Ioka. Ioka is fighting. I'm waiting to see if we could get props. But Bet365 isn't showing any props, and neither is Sportsbet. Ioka versus Ortis Gordy. I'll be doing a video. I'll upload Ioka tonight, so you guys can watch my stats don't lie video. Yankee Rivera, we just saw him fight. He fought a really awkward opponent just a few months ago to a draw. Such a bizarre fight. And this guy, he's fighting Jonathan Gonzalez, a dude that when he loses, he gets knocked out. So we have that fight to talk about. Holly Holm, Stephanie Hahn. We can leave the door open to take all your questions. Guys, pinned in the comments section here. Join our Johnny Says Boxing VIP Discord. It's a couple bucks a month. VIP membership here on YouTube. We also launched our Patreon. Whatever one you would like to choose to support the channel, to support me and join our community. We have close to 340 JSB insiders now in our Discord. It's not just boxing. We're also going to be launching, we have MMA, American football, we have hockey. We're going to be doing baseball when baseball opening days, first week of April. There's soccer in there. So it's a professional bettors Discord, right? We focus obviously on boxing. I'll be launching in the next few weeks a Stats Don't Lie video series for UFC as well. You guys have been asking me for it. We'll also be launching our Thursday night weekly UFC live stream with Nick from Breaking Bad Boxing. We'll be doing that on both of our channels. So that's something to look forward to. And, I'll leave it open to you. I was looking at some of the training. A lot of you guys have been asking me about Holly Holm and Stephanie Yon. And I don't know, dude, Holly Holm, before she even went to the UFC, she was a boxing Hall of Famer. Some of you guys look at her box rec and see that she's had one fight in 13 years. She had one boxing match in 13 years. All she's done in that 13 years was carve out a Hall of Fame UFC career, become a UFC champion, and she started boxing again a few months ago, and she was victorious. She is 44 years old. She lives in the gym. If you guys know anything about combat sports, she's down in New Mexico, Albuquerque, Jackson Wink. She's been there since she was a teenager, and she lives this samurai lifestyle. So she's not your average 44 year. I think the odds are fair. I think she's going to dog walk Stephanie Hahn. We watched Stephanie Hahn in her last. Stephanie Hahn's 35. We watched her in her last fight. She got dropped in the first round. I think the odds are fine here. I think Holly Holm is a slight favorite, and I'm definitely taking Holly Holm to beat Stephanie Hahn in a boxing match, 100%. So we'll get into that. I'll be uploading my breakdown prediction. You can't. I always tell people when it comes to Holly Holm, you can't look at her age. This is a woman who is a lifelong combat sports legend. She is a living legend, and she's a stud. I from even her being out of the boxing ring for 13 years, what we watched in her last fight, she took on a 10-0 fighter, I think a Mexican fighter. And then you look at Stephanie Hahn as well, a fighter from Texas. We watched both of them fight. I'd put, I'm definitely taking Holly to win that fight based off of pedigree, experience, skill, power, all that good stuff. There are going to be risks. We're betting on a 44-year-old woman and a 35-year-old woman. So keep that in mind, boys. Don't bet the whole house. We're out here betting on 44-year-old women. You don't see many fighters who are older than me. I'll be 44 in April. I mean, this woman, she just stays in shape. Her strength and conditioning is through the roof. Her cardio is through the roof. Her endurance is through the roof. Her fight IQ is through the roof. She's a good follow on Instagram. I was in the fourth row. It seems like it was yesterday, but UFC 293. I was in the fourth row in Melbourne when she head kick knocked out Ronda Rousey, that changed the whole trajectory of women's MMA globally when she did that, because people forget that was Ronda Rousey who was arm barring everybody. That was Ronda who would get you She would do that judo toss and then get on top of you and just break your arm if you didn't tap. And Holly really exposed the holes in Ronda's defense and Ronda's striking. And dude, Ronda Rousey tried standing with Holly. That was crazy, and she paid for it. I'm trying to find some. Yeah, so she's been with Jackson Winklejohn for her whole career. Jackson Wink. So Greg Jackson and Winklejohn. So when you think about a consistency, when you think about somebody who their entire life they never been out of shape, they never got overweight, they never she's never really been injured, never really even had to take a lot of time off. Yeah, this is her staring down. Yeah, I think Holly's gonna manhandle her. I got to be honest with you. I think Holly's going to be too much, too strong, too big for Stephanie Hahn, and too classy as well. So I'm excited. The odds aren't that bad actually. Hopefully, I'm hoping money comes in on Hahn, which will lean us a little bit more in our favor. I mean, she's just always her backhand's pretty good. Her feet are pretty good. She's sharp. She's really accurate. She's just classy. You know what I mean? I wouldn't bet against Holly Holm. She's just a classy operator in the ring and in the octagon. So we got that to look forward to. I just wanted to address Holly real quick because you guys were asking me about it. I'm gonna say what's up now to all the boys as you guys are tapping in. Shout out to we have a new Johnny Says Boxing VIP insider. The boss Christos is in the house. He makes it now. We now have in our VIP group. The boss Christos makes it. Grant. We're at 339. Who wants to be the 340th JSB insider? Let's go. Click the link pin in the comment section. My boy Mike from Melbourne. Sub Jan Santo 70 Han. Holly Holmes 44, fought once in 13 years. I think hopefully I definitely just addressed that. I didn't even see that comment. But if you have any more questions, ask me. I'm definitely taking Holly at 149 for sure. What's up, King? Pound for pound in the house. Yeah, the odds aren't that good though, Jay. You know what I mean? Like the odds on Yankee on the money line. I mean, are we really going to play that fight? Actually, they're not that bad. Actually, the odds went up. He's at $1.49 now. That's actually really good. Yeah, Jonathan Gonzalez, man, this kid, like I said, I think 4 losses, 4 knockout losses. It just depends on how much. Do you like that 7-0-1 record of Yankee Rivera? You know what I'm saying? So he didn't look like he had a plan B in his last fight. And that, granted, he was fighting one of the most awkward fighters I've ever seen. We were live streaming that fight. So I think I'm gonna leave. Yeah, I'm gonna tail you on that, Julius. 49%. We could bring home, 49% on a bet. Class, baby. We're all learning, King. We're all learning. That Sebastian guy might have been on the juice, but he did good if he wasn't on the juice. Oh, they love Eddie. Yeah, Eddie is referencing Sebastian Logan Hernandez against Junto Nakatani. The output, the pace. He just that pace was incredible. You know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of Frankie Rodriguez's pace that he put on Galal Yafai. I don't know if you watched that fight. We covered the fight on the channel, and we thought the same thing. Even during the live stream of Galalia 5 versus Frankie Rod, I said it. I was like, mate, this dude looks like he's on the gear. And I was like, his energy, because Frankie Rod came out in the 10th round exactly how he came out in the first round. And, nothing Galalia 5 was throwing was even affecting him. So it's very similar. Nothing, Junto was landing clean shots on Logan, and it wasn't affecting him. We'll see what happens. What do you think of the Holly Holm fight? I covered that. I'll cover it again if you want me to. I don't know when you guys tapped in. We're 10 minutes in. 18 of the boys are in here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, join our Discord, couple bucks a month. You get to become part of a really, really educated community. It's not just boxing in there. More importantly as well, you get to support me. You get to help this channel grow, and I really appreciate you. Matthias popped dirty after beating Playo. How will he look without? Okay, so this is something that's being passed around shop to shop in the boxing networks. He failed one drug test, and then he sampled his B sample, and it came back clean. I don't think he beat Puello either. I thought Alberto Puello won 2 of the last 3 rounds. You know, call me biased because I picked Alberto to win that fight. But when I'm looking at I'm looking at a few key variables, the fight is in Brooklyn. I think Dalton Smith has been oversold to us. I think he's overrated. I don't think his resume is that good. I don't rate any of his wins. People are going to say they rate the who's the Spanish the Mexican kid he fought who he went to a decision with Hitchens, and then Dalton stopped him. I don't really rate that. I'm a type of guy when I'm breaking my tape down, I'm a what have you done for me lately sort of cat. I'm not a guy who's going to go too far into the well and look at fights from 5 years ago. I'm going to look, what did you just look like, homie? You had all the lights, you had the camera crews, you had pay-per-view, you had the whole UK, Australia, America watching you to feature, headline, a layup to look great, and you couldn't stop Matthew Germain. Matthew Germain was winning rounds against you. So and that was the fight I told you guys yesterday in my stream. That was the fight where I was actually open enough to be a believer. I was like, all right, I'm going to sit here with a non-biased perspective. I'm not going to be a coach watching this. I'm going to be a fan. And let me see if they're selling Dalton Smith as the explosive athlete with all of this great skills and speed and strength. And I just didn't see it. I didn't see it at all. Maybe he had an off night. Maybe the lights were too bright. All I know is he's traveling to the U.S. He's going to be in Brooklyn. That is going to be a pro Subaru Matias crowd. And when Matias starts cooking and going downhill, I think this is easy money for Subaru Matias. So I'm definitely on Team Matias there. But like I said, I haven't had good luck betting on Subaru Matias fights. His last 2 fights, I'm 0-2. I picked Matias to beat Liam, and then I picked Puello to beat him. So if I lose this one, he's gonna go right to the top of my no bet list, sitting there with some of the other boys on my no bet list. Add him to the Olympian list. Keys up. What about all the other fights he did? Yeah, it's weird that this narrative is being passed around about. I don't care about the PED test, to be honest with you. It's not part like when I'm doing tape and I'm looking at styles. I'm looking at how they fight. I'm looking at how they fight off the front foot, how they fight off the back foot. How is their countering? How do they handle pressure? What have their resumes look like? Who has anyone been a former world champion? Is anyone a world champion? Is this the biggest fight of their career? How old are they? How many rounds do they have? How's their jab? How's their body punching? How do they like fighting in the pocket? And when I'm doing all that shit, I'm like, Dalton Smith, I think he's going to be way in over his head. I just joined the stream. Why the pick for? I think I just explained it, but I'll explain it again. I think I just explained it. I don't know when you got in though, bro, because I had Holly's Instagram up. I went on like the first. If you go back the first 6 minutes, I was telling you why. But stay tuned, big dog. I'm gonna be giving you my stats in a live video, so you can see my reasoning, analysis, and prediction. Oh, I do. That's what we do here. Of course, look for counter arguments. That's what we do. That's because you're smart. You're a smart dude. Don't just listen to one person. If fighters are on the juice, people should get their money back, right, dude? Someone could be on the juice and pull up 100%. I mean, how about all of us who lost the Galalia 5 fight? I had a 12-leg parlay, receipts, you could go pull it up. It was the only fight I lost that whole weekend. And then we find out a month later, Frankie Rod popped dirty. It's like, can I get my money back? Y'all gonna reimburse me? Nope, they take our money. And I've seen in the Discord some of the boys, their parlays all hit, and you guys haven't even been paid out, which is crazy. But I guarantee the second we lose, that shit is swiped. They take our money quicker than I could put my 3-digit what is that QVCC? What's that joint called? Quicker than I could put my 3-digit code in. That money is gone. But when we hit like a 6-legger or something nice, they wait to pay us, right? They have no urgency with paying out our bets. Ioka's fight is definitely interesting. The guy he's fighting has a similar. Yeah, but dude, you got to look a little bit deeper. Ioka's opponent, he's fought 4 guys with winning records. This is what I'm talking about. I'll show you in a second. Michael Ortiz Gordy. So this will be his 17th pro fight. He's 15-1, 14 knockouts. And this is why I always tell you guys, you can't just look at records. You got to look a little bit deeper than that. His last opponent, 4-5. Lost to a guy who was 11-0. 20-11, 15-6. That's 2 winning records. 8-11, 1-2, 2-2, 2-6, 6-4, 3 winning records. 4-16, 4-5, 5. He's fought guys with 4 winning records, and 2 of the 4 records were 5-3 and 6-4. So I mean, I raise your hand if you've heard of Michael Ortizgatti. So I think this is a layup for our boy Yoka. I think he's going to eat. I wouldn't be too excited about that knockout to win ratio, and that's just what I see. I'm actually waiting for props to drop. Lately, we've been hitting, I'm on a nice little streak with the over and unders. So I'm interested once we see. I mean, we got about, 48 hours until this fight goes down. 8 o'clock Wednesday night. It's about 12:30 right now here in Sydney. Yeah, so about a day and a half. Skate in review. Y'all salty Junto got exposed by Hungry Dog. How did he won a unanimous decision and he's remains undefeated. Got exposed? I don't know if anyone's salty. I think the scorecards were a bit everywhere. 118 to 110 is a travesty. I think it was a lot closer. I had Junto up by 2 rounds. He did a lot of good work early on. And Logan's tough as nails. I mean, in the breakdown, I picked the over for a reason. Logan Hernandez is a dog. I've known who Logan Hernandez was before this fight. So you must be talking about your boys, Skate Review. Did you guys lose money? Matthias stopping him. They're trying to sabotage. Matthias stopping him. They're trying to sabotage him. I could see, man, I never miss a Subaru Matthias fight. We'll see. I tell you what, though, Dalton Smith doesn't fight like Alberto Puello. And I think the one thing that you can say, even though I had Puello winning that fight, I had Puello up 2 rounds. I wouldn't have been mad with a draw, but seeing the scorecards in that fight was crazy. I think Subaru Matias, impressed some people with, the whole fake narrative about him being flat-footed. He has better feet than than experts give him credit for. He's more athletic than experts give him credit for. And dude, the durability, the output, he stresses you out. He's one of those guys that as an opponent with that style, it can be stressful, especially if you don't have the power coming back for him to respect that. Now, the one thing I will give Dalton over Puello is the power advantage. But I don't even know if he's going to be bigger than, I think Matias will be bigger than him. I think this is a perfect matchup for Subaru Matias. I think Dalton's going to get hit a lot. And if Dalton can't keep Matias at his range, Dalton's in for a long night, man. I don't like Dalton's, how he works in the pocket. I don't like, dude, watch the Matthew Germain fight, his last fight against the Canadian journeyman. Matthew Germain was having his, winning rounds, winning moments of the fight. It wasn't a 190 situation. Yeah, I posted this in our Discord, Rio Valenzuela. Look, Zuffa Boxing is just going to be another organization of boxing. I think where they're making a mistake, I think they came out and said that they're going to have one belt. Okay. It doesn't really affect the landscape. I've always been a proponent, whether it's in any industry, I always been a proponent that competition is good for said industry, whatever you're talking about. Whether I'm a small town coffee shop business owner and a coffee shop opens across the street from me, I think that's good business. Competition creates evolution. So this is good for boxing. Another promoter, So, and hopefully we get to see Ryo fight more. He's not the only one. I posted that in the Discord. There's a couple, the kid we just saw, Edris Garcia signed with them, I'm pretty sure. Ryo got 12-0 by GAR, decided to move down to 35 and join. Yeah, Ryo. Dude, GAR looked great in that fight. That was a coming out party for Gary Antoine Russell. Ryo got that ass beat. It's crazy to think when we think about that fight, don't we? You kind of remember that fight like Ryo got stopped, but he didn't. He just got beat up the entire time. I was telling everyone Erickson Garcia was my underdog. I picked that fight. Yeah, no, I told you guys on the live stream. I hit on Erickson Garcia. He won a close split decision. I feel him dropping him. Having the knockdown, tilted it his way. I hit that too. Plus, I think plus 220. So I gave you guys that pick as well. I mean, I'm not the only one. You guys know what you're doing. Paro on No Limit fighting Patty. Who wins? Look, man, Patty Donovan, man. I thought Patty beat. I thought Patty won his last fight, even though he got dropped. The only moments of that fight, he got dropped bad early. He got dropped bad early. That was a bad knockdown. But then he went on to win, and then he got dropped again, coming in crazily. But I don't really like what I saw from Liam Paro in his last fight. Liam Paro had a homecoming up in Queensland, and he fought David Popot, a guy from France who, 4 knockouts, a nice record for. But Popot was way bigger. I don't think Liam Paro handled that jump as good as he thought he was going. 140 to 147 is a jump, and we saw it. And Patty's a bigger dude. I think Liam's going to struggle with him. Should be what have you the only second fight at welter. Mm-hmm. Referring to guy. Oh yeah, you know why they're saying that though, Skate, is because of Paulie. If you guys watch, go to Paulie's channel, Malinaji. He's the one who he dropped that inkling. Paulie was out here planting seeds, so that was Malinaji on his post fight. He didn't accuse. Well, I guess if you bring it up, it is an accusation. He just said Paulie just said he's skeptical based off of the pace, and former world champion. He's been in the game his entire life. I guess when you watch enough boxing, you pick up on trends. So what he was just basically saying, the pace, the output, the volume, what he was seeing in Logan from the beginning of the fight to the end of the fight, and how he was walking through Junto's power, he just was skeptical, and he has the right to say that. We'll see. I like to think that Logan was clean. You know what I mean? And that was Junto's first fight at 22. And guys, this is another pick that I gave you guys. I was like, when I did a live stream with Nick from Breaking Bad, and I went on like a 6-minute rant selling everybody on Junto on points. And I just said, we see it historically when guys go up, and I did the Junto and David Benavidez comparison. I talked about when Benny went from 68 to light heavyweight. I was like, it took him, the Anthony Yard fight was his third fight. He fought Vosdick, he fought Morrell, both went to decisions, and then kind of settled in and looked great against Yard. But that was his third fight in a new weight class, and he finally got a stoppage, a guy with similar knockout to win ratio as Junto. So I was like, you can't just, even though it's only 4 pounds, it's still 4 pounds. It's a newer division. It's the biggest you've ever, it's kind of like taking, 2-pound weights and putting them on your shoulders and just wearing them, and then say, all right, kid, go fight when you're used to fighting without those 2-pound weights. You know what I mean? So it's, you have to expect some sort of, what's the word, leeway or learning curve for any new division. We've seen it before. Guys move up. It takes a couple fights sometimes to get comfortable there. And so when I saw the odds at plus 440 or plus 550 Junto on points, and the over 8.5 at, would we get the over 8.5, $1.97? I was like, that's kind of the move. Everybody was loving the Junto by knockout. And I'm not gonna lie, I had Junto by knockout on one parlay, but it wasn't my lock. It wasn't a fixed bet. I fell in love with the overs on both. Junto over 8.5, Inoue over 5.5, and that's the parlay we hit. And Yabuki looked good too. What's up with Yabuki out here getting another 12th round knockout? That dude, that was a interesting cat. That guy is. He's a nightmare for he's out. You look at those weight classes, he carries his power late, and he's crafty, he's awkward. Another 12, I think that's his second fight in a row, 12-round knockout. I can't remember Matias ever being on the back foot. Who's the biggest puncher he's faced? Good call. We can pull it up. We can pull up the resume. Guys, make sure you like this video. Junto definitely got exposed, showed he can't handle a pressure. I mean, not many. I got to be honest with you, Skate and Review. If Logan Hernandez brings that same exact output, that same exact performance, there's a lot of guys at 122 who can't handle that. That was what gets lost in the decision, what gets lost in that 118 to 110 score is that was Logan Hernandez he belongs. Give him the credit. Rather than saying Junto got exposed, I mean, come on, dude. Sebastian Hernandez, he deserves some damn credit too. Meanwhile, Bam dismantles World Level Pressure Fires. Bam is special. I mean, this is something though we have to chill though, because Bam 115, 115. I don't know, man. Everyone's so quick to kind of dissect a fighter's performance and then do triangle theories because Junto won a decision against Logan or because Inoue couldn't knock out a really tough fighter in Picasso, that all of a sudden Bam could come up from 15 and beat Inoue. I'm like, y'all need to pump the brakes on that one. Bam is special. He's one of my favorite fighters. Junto has the same 5 punches. Yet there is something, I said this in my breakdown. There's something about Junto that I wasn't able to pinpoint in my breakdown that I think he's still developing. It's kind of what I said without kind of poking holes in what he lacks. I used the word, I think he's still developing. I think Junto's going to be better in his next fight. When you think about a guy like Inoue, he's obviously at the top of the mountain at 33, 32 years old. Even Bam, I think like Bam's style, such a good pro style. He's had that pro style since he was young too. So, but Junto is the one that seemed a little more green than the three. So that's why everybody's saying like, and I talked about in my breakdowns, if Junto goes out and has a flat performance, Bam could jump the queue. And this is what they're trying to do. And I'm like, I don't know. Do you think he could go from 15 to 22? But they're saying give it a year. They're saying give it a year. He's special. Most people would have been hurt with the shots. Dude, Nakatani was landing clean shots. That uppercut, the body rips. Hernandez was just taking them, eating them. Adu totally forgot he did that. I'm back in Patty. Should be a good fight. This fight will go the distance, so safe bet is going over 5. Sent from Pat. Since they match opponents tough in the UFC, I'm curious how they do matchmaking at Zuffa. They got already 200 fighters. I'm curious how Ryo would do at Zuffa's. Well, the big difference with that is the UFC is one organization. So with their weight classes, they don't have to worry about 4 separate belts. So also the difference with boxing and the UFC, because it's one MMA organization, and MMA is a new sport. We only saw organized MMA in 1993, November 11th. That boxing goes back, organized over 100 years. The reason why that's significant is that we know boxers, you have to move a boxer a little bit more differently than you move an MMA fighter. By the time they get to the UFC, you've already made it to the UFC. So there's no time to move you. Look what they did with Yair Rodriguez when they paired him up with Frankie Edgar when Yair was like 22, 23 years old. And Frankie was a 2-division world champion, a fucking real true veteran grappler wrestler. And they just fed a young Yair Rodriguez to the wolves. But that's the UFC. That's why. Boxing, though, on the other hand, you have that 21, 22-year-old prospect / contender. You're going to move them a different way. You don't just, and it's because you have options. And we know boxing, it's kind of, something that doesn't get spoken about enough, but how you move a guy is very important. And sometimes that backfires though, because sometimes the fans, the casuals will start talking shit about how a guy's moved. But that's why it's different in the UFC. By the time you make it to the UFC, you already made it. So you should already be seasoned and developed, unless you're a guy like Chase Hooper. They've kind of moved Hooper in a certain way. You do have your exceptions, but you lose a couple, you're out. They used to have that two loss rule. But depending if you could sell, if you're marketable, how big your social media is, there's a lot of other variables. So it's really tough to compare those two sports in terms of how a guy progresses through their career. For Japanese holiday, let's go. Johnny, I saw TJ's comments on the Morataya Cruz fight. Where are you laying as of today? As of today, I'd probably lean on Andy Cruz. I like Ray, though. I like Ray. Danger. But I like the work. You know why I like Cruz as we stand? Because I like the jumps. When you talk about a guy who has so much luster on their brand already, coming from his amateur pedigree, you don't really expect a guy to be able to add levels to his game once he becomes a pro, right? Think about by the time we got to know Vasily Lomachenko, finished product under 5 pro fights. What I've seen in Andy Cruz in his last few fights since he went with Bozy Ennis in Philly and getting all that sparring in Philly and watching him sit down on punches now and now adding that power element, that power threat to the speed, the countering, the footwork. I'm like, this dude, you can't not be impressed. It's one of my favorite projects. If we had to say, Johnny, what's your favorite project of 2025? Meaning like a prospect contender in a new camp sort of thing. Kind of like how the version we just saw of the kid who fights out of Robert Garcia's camp that he fought Cesar Vaca and the jump that he made, Arturo Popica. Watching Popica's growth, his patience, his punch selection from fight to fight, because we had seen him in Philly, I think 9 months ago, and I was like, you know what? I think Cesar Vaca is a little bit live here. I don't like, nothing really jumped out off the paper for me watching Popica in his last fight. And then I watched that performance, and Cesar fought him really well. The first 4 rounds could have gone either way, and then you just started seeing the timing, the precision, the power. And that's a testament to all the work they do at Garcia RGBA. And I've seen the same thing with Andy Cruz with Bozy. So that's hopefully I answered your question there. Guys, we're 30 minutes in. Like this video. I'll leave it on for a little bit longer. I am coaching today, so I still have clients and sessions. I have 2 sessions here at my gym, and then I have a couple online sessions. I'm coaching an Australian amateur. I'm doing his strength and conditioning. He's preparing for trying to, make it to the Australian Commonwealth Games. So he has a fight in February. I have a session with him. And then I have another online client from London in a couple hours. So I wanted to get this live stream in today, which I'm happy we're doing. We're already past the 30-minute mark. I'm going to go live twice tomorrow and then twice the rest of the week. We got the fights. We got Ioka fighting. I'm going to upload my Stats Zone live video on that. I'm doing a Stats Zone live video on Stephanie Hahn and Holly Holm. And then I think there's going to be other fights opening up. Amanda Serrano, if we got to talk about Serrano. The odds really aren't that good, but that's just right. What's right in front of us. What have you done lately with Raymond Morataya? He looked okay against someone Haney may quit. Had a decent. Yeah, with Morataya, it almost seems like everything that I said about Hitchens before the Kambosos fight. How I said that I think Hitchens needs to be. This before the Kambosos fight, and hats off. We picked Hitchens to win by knockout. We got him at plus 500, and everything I said came to fruition. I said that Hitchens is more talented than the average boxing fan knows. I think it's a psychological thing with Hitchens. I think that he needs to be confident and comfortable in his skill set for all of those tools to come out. And he needs a viral moment for that confidence, for all these tools to come out. And that's exactly what we saw. We already liked his jab. We knew about the fundamental side about Hitchens, but sometimes there's a psychological component that kind of gets lost in the conversation, like Morataya. So when I watch Morataya fight, it's almost the same thing. I'm not comparing him to Hitchens, but when I watch his athleticism and his skill set, I feel like sometimes he's holding back, or that we just haven't seen the best version of him for one reason or the other. He's fighting. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a more confident guy than Andy Cruz, than Cruz at this moment, the Diamond. So he's going to have an uphill battle. I think Cruz is going to show levels. Morataya, maybe he'll, we'll see what happens. I think he has it in him, though. I think it's going to be a close fight. Hey, Johnny, torn on outcome, Nikita versus Rafa. When you see their resume, Zubian dropped multiple times by lesser boxers. Yeah, so this is going to come down to, I talked about this yesterday on my first live stream. This should be Nikita Zhu. This should be Michael Zarafa and Tim Zhu. You guys got to keep that in mind. Nikita's the little brother. Nikita Green, not a lifelong boxer, very basic. Michael's just going to have to avoid his backhand and not slug it out with him. Zarafa, world class. I mean, he lost the world title fight against Lara, but that just shows you his skill set and his acumen and his pedigree. Zarafa's been in the game for a long time. He still has goals. He still wants that Tim Zhu fight. This fight came to fruition behind the closed doors rumor because Tim didn't want anything to do with Zarafa. Tim changed camps, so Zarafa took the Nikita fight. We saw both of them got free layups in their last card. that horse shit matchmaking for both guys, Zarafa and Nikita. We got to, Nikita, injuries the last few years, hasn't been the most active. He's a new father. He's a different type of dude. I'm a Nikita Zoo fan. I just think he's more of a domestic guy. I think Zarafa is a world level guy. He can be a bit shinny. We've seen that before. But there's nothing Nikita Zoo is going to do that in the ring that Zarafa hasn't seen. Circle away from that backhand. Don't punch with him. Don't slug it out. Box him. Work the body. Work the jab. Win rounds. I think this is easy money for Zarafa. I think a guy like Zoo on his front foot is going to make Zarafa, is going to highlight. Remember, this is boxing. This isn't knockout. This isn't slugging out. This isn't bar brawling. So 196 each way. On paper, it's a 50-50 fight. I think that's easy money for Zarafa. That's where I'm leaning. So, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I'll see you guys soon. I appreciate everyone.